All right, everyone. Simply Bitcoin. We break down the news from Twitter, the Daily Fail, the meme review, the software releases, the websites by Plebs. Drop us a like and subscribe. All right, we're going to the numbers. Let's do it. All right, we are currently at a block height of 671,178. Current Bitcoin price 51,830. Chain rewrite. Oh, yeah. That's right. We did. Chain rewrite days, 590. Total lightning capacity, 1,085.71 BTC. Bitcoin versus gold market cap, 8.35%. And oh my gosh, sats per dollar below 2K, 1,929.
Man.
Oh my gosh.
I think those are the most bullish stats we've ever seen, right? And unfortunately, guys, the original Satoshi, the Bitcoin chicken, has passed away of severe pneumonia, apparently. So Satoshi, the shit fork, is going to have to take his place until, I guess, the old Satoshi gets healed. And, of course, we're talking about Satoshi, the Bitcoin chicken. He clucks every time the price of Bitcoin reaches an all-time high, which was today, which is why you heard him cluck. Anyways, Phil, it's time for
the Daily Fail. All right, guys. Our fail today is none other than Peter Schiff. So this is where we started. The guy who had a 50,000 price target on Bitcoin for year-end 2018. My gold forecast came a lot closer than your Bitcoin forecast. Plus, at least gold will eventually hit 5K. Bitcoin will never hit 50K. And this is where we are. Now that Bitcoin has hit 50K, I must admit that a move to 100K can't be ruled out. However, a move down to zero can't be ruled out either. While a temporary move up to 100K is possible, a permanent move down to zero is inevitable. If you don't want to gamble, buy my shiny rock. Okay. This guy's been consistently wrong since the inception of Bitcoin. His own son. I have to think at this point that he's just trolling us all, because there's nobody that can be this absolutely ridiculous. And I'm pretty sure that many of the people that he, manages, whatever it is that he manages for them, I'm pretty sure that they're asking him about Bitcoin. So, yeah, Peter, it's so sad. And seriously, the inevitable move to zero, people forget, Bitcoin had an immaculate conception and started off being absolutely worthless. Okay. Nobody it started off as an experiment. It's absolutely perfect in that way. So I personally think it will never be zero again. Too many people know about it. Too many people desire to hold it.
Absolutely.
And don't get me wrong. If Bitcoin were to drop to $100 tomorrow, what would you do? I would just buy it. Sorry. I don't know what else to tell you.
No, it's
cheap. I'd never get an opportunity like that again. Who knows?
No, it's true. And I think it's absolutely true. And I think the idea of going back to a system in which you don't hold your own keys, to a lot of people, the genie's out of the bottle. You can't go back to
exactly
that. You cannot go back to that. And I think, and in regards to the fail, Peter Schiff, I sat in a clubhouse, that app that everyone's just the newest fad thing or whatever. I sat in a clubhouse with Peter Schiff, Corey Clipson, the CEO of Swan Bitcoin, and John Vallis, the awesome podcaster, one of my favorite podcasters. And man, it was the Bitcoiners trying to be logical and reasonable, and just like Peter, look, here's the deal. What are your concerns or whatever? And his tactic was just to talk over them the entire time. It was so frustrating. I had to tweet about it, and I usually don't tweet about that type of drama, but it was just that frustrating to listen to. So you kind of have to ask yourself, Phil, does he know that Bitcoin's success is completely detrimental to his gold selling business because it's just Bitcoin is a better version of gold, right? Do you think he's doing this on purpose, or is the cognitive dissonance that intense?
you know what? I have to at least say this, right? Gold still has the end of the world narrative, right? Like, think about it. If all communications break down and there's apocalypses everywhere and there's nothing left, gold may be of some use. So they get the end of the world narrative.
Yeah.
That's like, I mean, that's as far as I just, anyways, I don't know,
It's true. It's true.
Just frustrating.
It is frustrating. It's going to be very interesting to see how this unveils. What happens to Peter? Does he implode? Does he explode? We don't know, but we'll cover it here on Simply Bitcoin. Anyways, Phil, it's time for
the daily meme review.
All right, everybody. The meme for today is brought to us by at BTC BRAJ. Seems like a plebe. This is definitely a plebe. A definitely type of plebe tweet. So, tweet meme or meme tweet, whatever you want to call it. Anyways, guys, if you want us to review your meme, go check down in the link description. There's a link to our Telegram group. Join, drop us your memes, and we'll try to review them as soon as possible. Anyways, let's check out this meme. Strike, asteroid, high speed, slow chances. Dude, pretty good. Easy to understand, but Phil, I know that one of your most common criticisms is it easy to understand? It's definitely not easy to understand. It's a niche meme. So I'm going to give that an 8 for creativity, I guess. What about you?
All right. Okay, so I guess in this case, maybe I'm going against my own unofficial rules, but I thought it was I actually thought it was really well done. So you'll notice that it was the dinosaurs in the background, right? And what are all the dinosaurs or all those things that LN Strike is coming and destroying, and essentially disrupting. So I'm going with a 9.
Okay. Wow. Yeah, it was very deep. It was incredibly deep for sure.
It's just the only part, like, for me is like, the one piece that was missing was, okay, so we know that they're talking about Bitcoin, but I think that I don't think everyone's going to get it. So to your point, I agree. It's niche.
Yeah.
But I love the overall message.
Yeah, the overall message was definitely strong. I love the pleb memes. They're freaking awesome.
Always.
Anyways, Phil, it's time for
the Daily News, sponsored by Crypto Cloaks.
All right, everybody. Just more MicroStrategy news. I feel like we've been covering so much, so many days about this company that we've just been talking about, Phil. And just to follow up to yesterday, they went from the $650 million, debt sale to $900 million. I read somewhere, I think it was Pompliano's tweet, where they're essentially getting this at 0% interest. This is how bullish people are on Bitcoin. Michael Saylor is literally, like, the title of yesterday's video. He's literally going all in. Look, he said the notes have a 0%. It's just absolutely hilarious. It's hilarious because we've been saying this was going to happen because the incentives on Bitcoin and Bitcoin game theory, how it's designed, it's literally number go up technology, right? And this is what you're seeing. You're seeing this in the real world, right? So it's surreal to see something that you've been talking about for years become actuality. And I just think this is going to keep accelerating. This isn't just going to stop. Tesla just announced they're buying Bitcoin. Do you seriously think they're the last Fortune 500 company to do so? You got to be kidding yourself. And this is exactly why MicroStrategy is doing that. So it's just, it's funny. It's interesting. It's freaking awesome. Phil, what are your thoughts on this?
Oh man, I'm so tired of MicroStrategy, buying all the Bitcoin. I mean, at this point, it's just boring. Like when I see the news that they're all right, great. So now they're buying more Bitcoin. He's front running everybody at this point, like nobody can, like, there's going to be nothing left for us. So
yeah, it's
buying it faster than I can get my paycheck.
I know, right? It's like, hey, we bought in like 2 or 3 years earlier, but he's just like dropping, borrowing money at 0% interest to buy more Bitcoin,
Free
hundreds of
money to
million
buy
dollars.
Bitcoin?
What a deal! What a
Like
deal!
pretty much free money to buy Bitcoin?
It's
You kidding
crazy
me?
because he's using the worst parts of the fiat system to buy Bitcoin. It's funny. It's ironic.
Talk about like the snake eating itself, right? Like that's like
Yeah,
the
yeah.
level.
I forget what that's called.
Rubberous.
Robert. Okay. I'm
Yeah.
gonna pop it up. I'm gonna pop it up because it's definitely interesting.
Yeah.
Anyways, the next piece of news is kind of a follow up to what we've been talking about. Microstrategy, the incentive game theory of Bitcoin is just this super uber orange black hole. I guess you call it an orange hole that's just sucking everything in. And here's a very good example. The Motley Fool.
Yeah.
Here's why I don't buy Bitcoin, and you shouldn't either. You know, that came out December 20th, 2020. And then February 17th, 2021, the Motley Fool announces $5 million investment in Bitcoin. It's very apparent and obvious as to why. It's the same reason MicroStrategy is literally borrowing $900 million without interest. The want for Bitcoin right now is absolutely insane. Like Ross Stevens said in Michael Saylor's Bitcoin for Institutions conference a couple of weeks ago, there is literally a giant wall of institutional money and it's flooding in. And look at the price. It perfectly represents that. And here's a tweet from Documenting Bitcoin, this awesome Twitter account. It says Coinbase is rumored to have several Fortune 500 companies as clients, right? We heard some of the same messages from Ross Stevens when he was on we heard some of the same message when Ross Stevens was on the Saylor, Bitcoin for Institutions conference. He did indicate that, he had $6 billion under management, and he expects by the end of the year in institution, he's going to have around $25 billion under management, all solely to buy Bitcoin, right? So a magnitude of almost a 5x of money that he's having under management in the tune of billions of dollars, so it's absolutely surreal, Phil, just to see this happening in real life. I'm curious to think what you think about all this.
So I going back to when I started trading in my early 20s, it was, Motley Fool is like an okay kind of, online publication for, for stocks. They're not really, they've obviously had some wins, they've had some misses. They were definitely huge, I guess you'd say, like enemies of Bitcoin at the beginning, like most people are, but eventually, right? Like you've said before, people bend the knee, and that's exactly what happened. And like the Motley Fool, they can't really miss out on this opportunity and say that they called it. And the reality is that who knows, maybe they hired somebody over there that knows something that was able to explain it to them in ways that they understand it.
Absolutely.
You never know, but yeah, it's really like, it's definitely interesting. I think one of the biggest type of wins in terms of like social is Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger eventually announcing that Berkshire Hathaway has something in Bitcoin, which obviously they don't, but that's going to be huge when it does happen,
It's inevitable.
And when I say huge, I don't mean huge for Bitcoin, because Bitcoin doesn't give a fuck. I just mean huge in the sense that that's a big win in that world, right? When it's gotten to that level with those people, with that type of like the types of assets that they control, that's really, look, we're all proud of Michael Saylor and everything like that, but it's, still there's always somebody bigger, right? There's always somebody bigger. There's always somebody better. And like, there you go,
There's
Warren.
There's always a bigger fish.
Yeah.
And yeah, man, it's crazy to see what we have been talking about just come to real life, it's absolutely insane. And, it's getting to the point where, corporations are going to have to choose. You're either going to have exposure to Bitcoin, or you're going to have fun staying poor, right? So the last piece of news for today, we've had bullish news. We've basically been just bullish news for the last like 2 or 3, 4 days, Phil, because it's just been amazing. But this is just a friendly reminder, right, of, the battle of which to come. And of course, I'm talking about, governments around the world. Specifically, this is the case of the U.S. Department of Treasury. We covered this initially. This happened with BitGo, I think was the name of the company, and they originally settled with some agency of the U.S. government. And essentially, what they did wrong is they didn't enforce this sanction thing that the U.S. has been imposing. And the reason that the U.S. is so powerful for the U.S. is because the U.S. is the world's reserve currency. So they essentially have weaponized the dollar, and they're trying to impose that same type of regulation on Bitcoin. That's what the U.S. government is thinking. That's what they're trying to see Bitcoin as. What they don't understand is that Bitcoin is not a currency of the actual world. It is a digital. It is an internet currency, man. It's the currency. It's the currency designed for the internet. That's what Bitcoin is. So it's everywhere. You cannot stop it. You can't censor it. And they're trying to start to basically attempt to try to impose these type of laws. We've been covering this specifically. BitPay also agreed. They similarly to BitGo, they decided to settle for an amount of almost, $500,000 essentially, because BitPay failed to stop people that were located in Ukraine, Cuba, North Korea, Iran, Sudan, and Syria, and it just goes to show, how terrible this fiat system is. It's some dude in a suit somewhere, just because he has a fancy schmancy college degree, decides like, you are not worthy of the money system. That's essentially what this centralized fiat system allows. Bitcoin, it lets everyone participate. I think it's the same thing as freedom of speech. It's like, I might not like what you're saying, but I'm gonna die defending for it. Bitcoin has the same principles. I might not like what you're sending your what you're doing, right, with your Bitcoin or whatever. I might not agree with it, but I'm still going to fight for your right to send it to whoever, for whatever, because, dude, on the other side of the spectrum, that is the best deal. The best deal is freedom of speech. The best deal is freedom to transact, right? Because the other side is, you have to have some central authority to kind of make those decisions. And that's always ended in disaster, right? So, F that. It's very sinister from the governments of the world, and I suspect that it's not going to stop. Phil, what are your thoughts on this? Am I being a little negative?
No, I don't think. I mean, look, I don't know how bad it'll get, but I can say this: this is very typical because they have nothing else, right? These gatekeepers, right? There's really nothing else that they can do except this. So you're going to pay penalties, and this is really what it is at the end of the day. These agencies, they just want to get paid, so that's their whole shtick. So the sooner we build an ecosystem, a Bitcoin ecosystem, right, that's really outside, the sooner these gatekeepers just become completely obsolete. And this is what they don't really realize yet, is that, like, right now they're all standing around this gate that they think is on a solid platform, but really we're just going to kind of like sail away, and the gate's going to be standing there all by itself, and they're all going to be sitting there waiting to gatekeep, but everyone else is going to be in this other ecosystem that simply never needs to transact with that system anymore.
Exactly.
And I believe that is what is going to happen.
I completely agree with you, Phil. And it's like they're in a golden cage, right? And they keep making this golden cage smaller and smaller because they think it's going to protect them and protect the system and so whatever. But what they don't realize is that every time they make it smaller and smaller, the majority of the people are already on the outside and they're experiencing this orange system, that's just completely free. And, and it's just looking to those people inside, and you're just like, no, thank you. And I think that's the disconnect that central bankers don't understand. Right. It was that other episode where we were making fun of that central banker, that is a little bit overweight. And, he just says like, you could trust us to be the soundest money. And, he's using all the buzzwords that
Augustus or whatever.
Yeah, man. It's Augustus and he dresses and he's like the prototypical Cartoon Network, like
the LARP king. He's the LARP king of the finance world.
Exactly.
I know sound money. Look at this suit.
Oh, man. It's just
these credentials.
You know what? All of this makes our job easier, at Simply Bitcoin, because it's just, it's so awesome to be reporting the truth because no one else is, so it's just crazy. Anyways, Phil, there was a website by Plebe. Why don't you show everybody?
Websites by Plebs. All right, so this is bitcoinofbricks.com, and what's going on over here is the Bitcoin roller coaster Lego kit, which, yes, I'm a super huge geek and a collector. So, of course, I ordered one of these and I'm waiting for it. And it looks really cool. So, yeah, if you want to nerd out and get one of these things, it looks pretty interesting. We'll have a link to that in the show notes down below.
Dude, that is so cool. I'm absolutely going to order that.
Can't help it.
You can't help it, dude. It's just, it's such original, Bitcoin stuff. I love it. I absolutely love that kind of stuff. Anyways, guys, that was our show. If you guys liked the show, you know what to do. Smash that like button. If you love the show, subscribe. And of course, tune in tomorrow for another episode of Simply Bitcoin.